with them, and everything had failed. So she had one last recording session where she was going to be allowed to record 4 more songs. And at the time, she already had plans to become a stenographer in her aunt's office. So she was given up, thrown in the towel. She knew she'd spent a lot of her parents' money, and she wanted to help put her brother through college. And she said, I have to grow up. I'll just do this last recording session, and that's it. So she was getting her music together for the last recording session, and her dad stuck a lead sheet in her hand, and they had this huge argument about it. It was a standard from 1923, and she just said, "No way! It's so square. The kids are going to laugh at me if I do this. I can't. I'm not recording it." But her father, kept arguing with her, and finally she gave in, figuring, whatever. It was her last recording session. She would do it to appease him. And even at that point, she made it the last song of the recording session, actually hoping that they wouldn't get to it. They had about 15 minutes left, and they were able to do 1.5 complete takes. And this was October 2nd, 1957, that she did that. So a couple months went by, and then New Year's Day, 1958, she was at the dinner table with her family and excused herself at 4 o'clock because she wanted to go watch American Bandstand, as she always did. Turned on the TV and heard Dick Clark talking about this new girl singer who was headed straight for the #1 spot. And, she felt a little jealous and felt sorry for herself and was thinking, well, good luck to this new girl singer, whoever she is. He started playing the song, and it was her singing Who's Sorry Now, that square standard her dad had forced into her hand.
Great story, and you tell it in the show, and people say, oh, I didn't know the whole story behind it. They probably thought she might have originated that song, but that was about 30 years older than at that particular point, right?
Yeah. Every time I tell the story, I must have told it about 50 times by now, but I still get chills and I get a little choked up. I can't imagine what that must have been like.
And you're just looking through some of the songs on the CD, My First Real Love, Frankie, you got some great Italian songs in there as well. Some written by, what a lot of people had probably forgotten or didn't realize, Neil Sedaka was a great songwriter before he became known as a performer, wasn't he?
Yeah, they had a great relationship. He and Howie Greenfield wrote a bunch of her hits, and actually Stupid Cupid was her second big hit after Who's Sorry Now, and that was one of theirs. And she met them while they were still students, and they were writing songs, and they spent about 8 hours together, and Neil and Howie kept playing her these very kind of intellectual, heady songs, and, thinking, she's a smart girl, she's going to want something, really special. And she got so bored, she ended up taking out her diary and writing it while they were playing her these songs. And they were about ready to give up, and Neil said to Howie, I think we should play her that one we were playing for those sisters last week. And Howie said, oh, no, she's not going to go for that. She's too smart for that. And Neil said, well, she hates everything else. Let's try it. And so they played about 8 bars of Stupid Cupid for her, and she said, that's it. That's my next hit. and it was. And that, again, a great relationship with between Connie and Neil and Howie.
Of course, Where the Boys Are, which was also made into a film. I believe she sang the title tune of that back in the early 60s. One of those beach blanket kind of films, wasn't it?
Yes, and actually this spring in Fort Lauderdale, there's a 50th anniversary celebration. So I've been told, that it's going to be a really big deal for her and for Neil Sedaka, and they're going to be naming a street after her, and it's going to be a huge celebration. Yeah, I'm hoping to get down there to see it.
That'd be great. Yeah, if you could maybe go down and get a show down there, that'd be even better.
Even better.
And another one of the great songwriters people also forget, Bobby Darin wrote a lot of her songs as well. I believe at one time, weren't they engaged?
Well, they wanted to be, and she was afraid of what her father would do because her father hated him. And,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They were in love.
That'll put a damper on it, won't it?
Well, her father actually ended up chasing Bobby Darin out of the Jackie Gleason Theater with a gun.
Wow.
But if they'd had their way, they would have been married. And to this day, I feel like she hasn't quite gotten over it. The song you mentioned, My First Real Love, he co-wrote that, and that was how she first met him. And it's funny because he did end up being her first real love. And so, to this day, if you see her in concert, at the back of the stage, there's always this huge video screen, and it shows clips of her throughout her career with various other singers and celebrities. So when they get to the song Among My Souvenirs, the pictures they show are of Connie Francis and Bobby Darin.
Ah.
So, yeah, even to this day, she's still holding on to it. So that was a big deal for her.
Yeah, because he and her were basically teen idols at the same time. I guess he came around in the late 50s, too.
Yeah, they really were. And, when they were on the road, both trying to make it, they would write to each other. And, if one of them had played a certain venue before, they'd try to fill the other one in on, the best way to go about performing there. They really were each other's support as they were both coming up through the ranks.
Oh. Well, it's a great CD. It's called To Connie Love Jenna. Jenna Esposito sings Connie Francis live at the Metropolitan Room. And Jenna, are you doing any tours with this? I know around New York you're probably doing some shows, but are you planning any tours around the country?
We're actually working on securing some dates. We've got a couple of theaters in California interested, possibly University of Oklahoma, and I'd also love to get down to Florida. I think
it'd be
great to get down there.
The time to come down, get out of that snowy weather.
Exactly.